Outside Nigeria, Ukraine's president...
Here, rescue teams are battling to repair this damaged bridge. One of the many pieces of infrastructure still hanging on after being hit by the force of flood waters. In the early hours of Monday, survivors gathered once again, hoping to receive updates, expecting that more bodies might be recovered. Among them is Abdurazak Yakubu, the only surviving member of his family. 9 relatives swept away by the flood.
Do detailed assessment and really find out, actually identify the real people of which they have done.
Meanwhile, the First Lady of Niger State, Fatima Bagu, visited the area to commiserate with the people and also gave a cash donation.
It's really not a sight to behold. But there's nothing we can say. It has already happened. We only advise them to be cautious henceforth, going forward, to avoid building on waterways, because these are some of the things that causes this kind of havoc to happen in this magnitude.
At the scene.
Hours after you went there.
Okay, good evening, Nigerians, and thank you very much for having me. First and foremost, let me begin by commiserating with the people of Niger State over the unfortunate flood disaster, particularly to the community of Mokwa local government, who lost a lot of people. I want to commiserate with them that God will grant the rest, eternal rest to those who lost their lives, and grant their families the fortitude to bear the loss. Now, what has happened was immediately NEMA got information of the flood. The Director General NEMA, Mrs. Zubaida Umar, gave us her marching orders to mobilize the MENA Operations Office in Niger State, alongside the Zonal Coordinator of NEMA from North Central, mobilized immediately to Mokwa with rapid intervention vehicles and, of course, mobile the relief materials that were approved by the federal government to the Deputy Governor symbolically. Subsequently, after the search and rescue efforts, I led the team. The relief materials that were provided by the federal government, of course, we composed a team to ensure the equitable distribution of these relief materials. The team composed of members of the community, of course, the community leader that you mentioned, Mr. Tanko Bala, and the IOM, the Red Cross, the local government, all of them were all part of it. And we ensured that these items were handed over, like our DG always says, that we ensure that these relief materials are given to the women, because they will ensure the feeding of their husbands and their children.
Commodore, we are hearing, if I may quickly butt in, Commodore, I hear you, but we're hearing that these materials are yet to get to them. Yes, you made the symbolic presentation to the Deputy Governor, who is in Minna, the state capital. But this incident happened in Mokwa, where the people for days now have been left helpless and perhaps hopeless. They've been going back to the ruins, trying to get things to put up shelter for themselves. Talk to us about that, getting to the survivors, people who really need these aids.
Yeah, please, just like I said, we were right on ground, and those relief materials, all of them, rice, spaghetti, some seasoning cubes, blankets, and the other relief materials were handed over in my presence. Yes, we had to do the first symbolic phase of it, and of course we handed over the others to the community leader, the Mr. Tanko Bala himself, that you mentioned and you spoke with, and he affirmed it. So NEMA was taken aback when we heard that a very malicious rumor spreading around that we did not hand over the relief materials. That is very unfortunate. All those relief materials were handed over in the presence of the youths. NEMA has been doing a lot of relief materials. I led the team that gave relief materials to displaced communities in Bokos. I led the team that gave relief material to people in Gombe. So it's not today that NEMA started giving out relief materials. And we ensured, we sat down there, the IOM was there, the Red Cross were there, all of them witnessed these materials being distributed equitably.
I hear you, Commodore.
We are very...
yes, I hear you and understand your explanation, but also in that report, we heard the community leader mention, something about trying to ensure equity, the fact that they probably had to pause because a lot of people were coming in and he needed to be sure which people were receiving these items. Considering the presidency's activation of the emergency response, how is it working? Is NEMA on ground there? What form is it taking? Because we hear that the distribution will actually begin tomorrow morning. So is it starting tomorrow? Is it ongoing already? What is happening with it?
Okay, now, when we got there, of course, Mokwa is a big town. And the community, they have a very large community. Of course, you need to take into cognizance of the fact that not every family per se was affected. It was mostly those houses that were along the floodway. And then the community leaders with the IOM and others, they carried out an assessment of the households, the affected households, those that were affected by the flood. And they wrote those names down. We have the names of these affected families. And we set up a committee. And we all agreed that in lieu of the fact that the bridge was cut off, there was traffic gridlock in Mokwa. To carry those relief materials, even to the area, was a problem. So we had to agree that let the relief materials be taken to the local government secretariat. I was there myself. The community leader, Mr. Bala, was there. The IOM was there. The youth leaders were there. And we brought these relief materials. We started by giving the first 10 people. Thereafter, we handed over the keys of the store to the community leader and told them to go ahead with the distribution. And we sat down there and listened to them, watched them how they were going about the distribution.
All right,
so,
Commodore.
Because they know the people better. They know the terrain.
All right, Commodore.
Yes,
as we wrap up the conversation in just about 15 seconds, tell us, has an IDP camp been set up in that community, or how exactly are you offering help to them? Now, as I speak, there was an area that was identified, a primary school that was identified for the IDPs. When the DG directed me to go there and assess the place, when we got there, we saw very few people in the IDP camp. The place was deserted. The DG directed that we should work together with the state government officials to ensure that this IDP camp is set up, and then the state government, of course, can take responsibility and ensure that wet food is provided for the local communities. However, when we got to the IDP camp, the secondary school that was identified, very few people were there. And of course, when there are no people there, we resorted to, okay, and we inquired why people were not there. And we were informed that most of them had moved to their relatives. And that was why we took that decision that, look, since at the IDP camp there were very few people, let us go to the local government secretariat where all affected families will come and meet us and receive these relief materials. And that was what was done. All right, and Commodore, the relief materials were given to them. I appreciate you for this explanation you've given on TVC News at 10. NEMA Director of Search and Rescue, Air Commodore Kenneth Oyong, thank you for your time.